Welcome to the Help for Leaders podcast. I'm Stacey Harris, and I'm passionate about showing leaders the power of communication and how it can transform their organizations, from Fortune 500 boardrooms all the way to brand new startups. As a leader, your actions and your words transform people and your company culture. So join me as I share tips and insights for elevating your leadership abilities as well as your team's performance. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to today's episode. I'm Stacey Harris here sharing help for leaders. Today we're going to talk about communication. One of the most important aspects for a leader is the ability to communicate. It is so key. So many of us think that communication is the actual words that we speak. It is so much more than that. And today I really want to dive into communication. I want to talk about behavioral styles. I want to talk about an overview of differences that we all have. I want to talk about and appreciate those differences and dive into a little bit more of communication. So let's just jump right in. Number one, I want to talk about listening. Listening is so key. It's not just the words we speak. It's actually that ability to actively listen as we communicate the message to others and really make sure that there's understanding. So it's not just the words we're talking about, it's actually the message. We're going to talk about body language. We're going to talk about tone of voice. All of these impact communication. I think so many times we just think it's the words we speak and we put a lot of weight on the words, but if we're not absolutely matching the messaging with our communication style, there is miscommunication that happens. Even today, so much of our communication is not face-to-face. It's via text or some kind of messaging. There's all these social media platforms. We've got now Zoom and so many virtual calls that are happening, and we're really limited in our face-to-face communication. And so I want to talk about some of the disconnects even that are happening with non-face-to-face communication and how we can overcome that and really communicate most effectively. So I want to talk about your communication style. Do you like communicating with lots of data? Are you someone that wants bullet points and get to the point? Do you like a lot of excitement and really connecting with other individuals? Or are you someone that's really a slow, steady pace person that likes more time to process information? There's no right or wrong. We're all different. And so really understanding those differences and appreciating those differences is what's going to help you develop as an effective leader. So today, there's so many diverse ways that we communicate. Ultimately, it's impacting our relationships. I was just mentioning all the different forms of communication that's not face-to-face. When we take face-to-face interaction out of the equation, I want you to understand that we're setting ourselves up for miscommunication. If you're having an important conversation with someone, the best way to have that conversation is face-to-face, if at all possible. If you can't do it face-to-face, at least with a video conferencing, have a webcam available, even just FaceTime, some way to see the person's face is going to be ideal. Texting and email are the worst forms of communication. Let me say that again. Texting and email are the worst forms of communication. We make so many assumptions and we fill in the gaps. We think we know the tone that the person is texting. We think we understand all the emotions that they're experiencing, but we don't. And so assumptions are made. Many times those assumptions are incorrect. And so communication can be lacking. Somehow we think communication is almost instinctive, but it's not. We really can practice. We really do need to learn, and we need to practice daily. I read a stat recently. It was from, let me just make sure I'm quoting this correctly. It was Psychology Today, states that 60% of communication is portrayed by facial expression. So think about that. 60% of communication portrayed by facial expression. And when we take face-to-face out of the equation and we can't see that 60%, what's happening to our communication? I read another statistic recently that was from the Michigan State University that stated that we should be maintaining eye contact 50% of the time when we're talking and 70% of the time when we're listening. How much eye contact are you experiencing when you're communicating with others? 50% of the time when we're talking, so the occasional glance away is actually normal. It's effective. And then 70% when you're listening. Active listening is not on your phone while you're listening or typing that email. It's literally pausing what you're doing, engaging with the individual, maintaining eye contact with them to really effectively listen. That is how you develop and practice communication skills as a leader. So active listening also involves asking questions. Asking clarifying questions. Did I understand you say this? It's a part of making sure we're understanding the message and we're communicating clearly as a leader. If you just do all the listening and not actively engage, you may be leaving the conversation thinking one thing, assuming one thing, and then find out later it was incorrect. So if you can pause, if you have any kind of misunderstanding, just to ask a clarifying question. Did I hear you say this? Or repeating back what someone said. That's a very effective way to enhance communication through your listening. So now I want to talk about behavioral styles and how they do impact communication. Every single one of us listen a little differently. If you're a very dominant person, you're assertive, you're fast-paced, you like to get results, you like to be focused on tasks and getting things done, I hate to tell you, you're probably one of the worst listeners because you're usually telling people what to do, and it's hard to listen when you're doing that directing. So be aware. You're maybe missing half of the equation in communication if you're a very dominant individual. I fall into that category, so we're on the same page. Another behavioral style is someone who's very influential. You love people. You're also assertive. You're all about communicating with others. You love to have fun. It's all about people. It's about your team. It's about developing others. And so being aware that sometimes that can come across as disorganized or manipulative, even with that high persuasive language. Others may be receiving you slightly different than you are perceiving yourself. Another one of the 4 behavioral styles is a high, steady, stable individual. So all about people as well, less assertive. You'd like more time to process information and make decisions, especially when you're leading others. You want to think about it before you make those decisions. And so being aware of your own style can be really helpful for your team that you're leading, as well as the interaction and communication that's happening. And then the last style is that conscientious individual who loves rules and procedures. They want proof, they want evidence, they are always by the book. These are the people that are going to keep us out of jail. They're going to keep us from being audited. They're the ones, we need these individuals on our team to help us with all the details. So when you're communicating with individuals with different styles, being aware of your own style can impact your team, but appreciating all those differences. Not one person can do it all. We need each other. We need to lean into the strengths of our team members to really bring all the aspects of communication together. And I've got a free report that I'd love to offer you. If you go to the link in our bio on Instagram, you can take a free work from home behavioral style report, and you'll understand your own style of communication. I hope you'll take advantage of that. Thank you for joining us today, learning about communication, how you lead effectively through communication. Go take that assessment, learn a little bit more about your own style. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. We're going to continue to give you more tips and more help as you lead others. Thank you for joining us today. You have the potential to communicate, engage, and lead with significant impact, and my goal is to help you do just that. Whether you're trying to get that next big promotion, scale your small business, or manage a team of thousands, there's always room for growth, and I can help you get there. Go to disc-report.com and find out what style of leader you are by downloading my free ebook on communication. Until next time, lead well and prosper.